So hello, good day to everyone. So our next topic for MT laws is your Professional Regulation Commission laws. Okay, so this is PD 223 and RA 8981. Okay, so once again, I am Dr. Santos, your instructor for this subject. Okay, so your Professional Regulation Commission was first created as a national government agency which mandated to enforce the laws of regulating the various professions. So this was first created by the Presidential Decree 223. So it had the title creating the Professional Regulation Commission and prescribing its powers and functions. So it was signed under the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos on June 22, 1973. Okay, so this is the current location of PRC. It's in 1008 P. Paredes Street, Sampaloc, Manila, just in front or behind FEU. Okay, so Republic Act number 8981, it's the act modernizing the Professional Regulation Commission, repealing the purpose of your PD 223 because since it is already outdated, so we had this new Republic Act in order for it to be updated. So entitled Creating the PRC and Prescribing Its Powers and Functions and for Other Purposes. It's also termed as your PRC Modernization Act of 2000. So basically, your PRC or this Republic Act is all concerned with anything that it is when it comes to our profession. Okay? So in fulfillment of its legal mandate, the PRC performs two important functions. So number one is to conduct and administer the licensure exams. Okay, so in our licensure exam, the MTLE, so PRC ang bahala doon in partnership with our Board of Medical Technology. And also their function is to regulate and supervise the practice of all professions exercised in partnership with the 43 professional regulatory boards. So for us, it's the Board of Medical Technology. So in various fields like in health, business, education, social sciences, engineering, and technology. So the professional regulatory boards govern the respective professions, practice, and ethical standards and accredit the professional organization representing the professionals. So in our case, it is PAMET. So PRC Modernization Act, Section 1 is the title. Section 2 is the statement of policy in which the state recognizes the role of of all professions in nation building. Hence the role of PRC. So the PRC is there for us to be able to have a competent professionals by means of administering now your licensure exam, as well as to promote now promote sustained development of reservoir of professionals, because syempre nagre-retire din yung iba, so we have to have a new set of professionals in order for our country to have a reservoir of professionals. So Professional Regulation Commission Section 3, it is termed as a three-man commission which shall be attached to the office of the president. So it is the PRC is not under CHED, it's not under anything, but it's under the office of the president. So it has so our PRC is or has an executive power, okay? Because in legislative is the senators, and then judiciary is the House of Representatives. Or no, Supreme Court. Okay, so PRC, it's under the president, so it is, or it has executive powers. So the composition, the current chairperson is Charito Zamora, and the two commissioners are Jose Cueto and Attorney Erwin M. Enad. So the duration of their office is that one full-time chairperson should serve for 7 years, and the two full-time commissioners should also serve for 7 years. Okay, so they are appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines with a term of 7 years without reappointment to start from the time they assume their office. So Section 4, qualifications, at least 40 years old. So usually yung mga nandun sa PRC are tenured, they have years of practice in administrative duty as well as mastery of their craft. Okay, holding a valid certificate of registration or professional license. They also have a professional identification card or a valid certificate of competency issued by the PRC itself. And then familiar with the principles and methods of professional regulation and licensing. They should also have 5 years of executive or managerial experience. So one of the commissioners must be a past chairperson or member of the Professional Regulatory Board. And this is in the person of Jose Cueto. Okay, so Jose Cueto was the chairperson before. So Section 5 exercise the powers and functions of the commission. So the chairperson and the commissioners shall sit and act as a body to exercise A, P, and E. So ano yung A? Administrative, executive, and policy making. Okay, so they also safeguard the integrity of all licensure examinations. Actually, that's the most important of their function. Okay, para walang bias, kumbaga. So the chairperson shall act as the chief executive officer or the CEO of the commission. Its functions or his or her functions, so implement the policies and the programs by the commission and to exercise powers, functions, and responsibilities of the commission. The chairperson is also the department secretary and the commissioners are undersecretary. So they are also entitled for retirement benefits. To administer, implement, so one of their their powers, functions, and responsibilities are to number one, administer, implement, and enforce the regulatory processes of the national government, to review, revise, and approve resolutions, to administer and conduct or the schedule of licensure examinations because your licensure examinations should happen 2 licensure exams per year. One exam shall be held on weekends or weekdays, so Monday to Friday, and then also one of their function is to implement your refresher courses for those who failed for the three times. Okay, so other functions is that they should also publish the list of successful examinees after 3 days, diba? Or 3 to 5 days. Offer school courses with licensure examinations, provide sample test questionnaires to the schools as well as the syllabi. Because diyan magbe-base ngayon yung contents ng board exam. So, for us to have a guide kung anong re-reviewin mo, di ba? It's like in this school, di ba? Nag-a-ask kayo ng pointers to review. So, yun yung pointers to review naman ng PRC, the syllabi. So, they also should prohibit and suspend the examinee who found out guilty of charge. So usually ito yung mga nagli-leak ng test. Actually, meron kayong pipirmahan sa PRC later on kapag magte-take kayo ng board exam. Mayroon kayong non-disclosure agreement doon na pipirmahan na you should not take the sample questionnaires outside the testing area. Huwag kayong magsasabi ng questions out of this. Bawal ang discussion ng mga ng test questions while the exam is ongoing, especially in the hallways. Ganun. So issuance of certificate of registration and PRC ID, another function of them is to exemption to suspension and revocation. So a good example of this is the marine deck and engine officers. So standards of training and certification watchkeeping, which is under Executive Order 149 series of 1999. So itong mga to, marine officers and engine officers, they are not governed by PRC but this executive order. So special temporary permit is also given by the PRC as one of their responsibilities for foreign professionals. This is what we call the foreign reciprocity. Yung sa section 30 natin, 'di ba, in your section 30 ba? Section 27. In your RA 5527. So that foreigner must secure a permit to number 1 PRC and then the Department of Labor and Employment. So other functions would be to administer oath to the professional and of course the Bureau of Immigration and Deportation for those foreigners practicing his or her profession without permit and for those Filipinos who has been naturalized as foreign citizen on other country. So they need to seek permit sa PRC before they can practice their profession. So other powers would also be to include to monitor the performance of schools in terms of licensure examination rating. Usually kasabay nito nare-release yung mga listahan ng board exam passers, nandun yung performance of schools, ganon. So diyan makikita yung top 10 performing with 50 successful examinees, ganon. So supervision of various professional regulatory boards. So other functions to implement program for the full computerization of all licensure exams. Kasi before, ay hindi ganun ka-high-tech. When we say full computerization, yung the way na mag-process ka, nare-release yung result, ganun. Pero yung exam mo, it's still pen and paper. Okay? So investigate motu proprio or upon the filing of a verified complaint, any member of the professional boards for neglect of duty, incompetence, unprofessional, unethical, immoral, or dishonorable conduct of the commission of irregularities in the licensure examination. So of course, especially that they are under the office of the president, they need to adhere to their name. So they need to have they need to be competent, they need to be professional, and as well as ethical, because they hold a high state of office. Another power of them is to issue summons. Diba? We talked about summons in R5527. Subpoena and subpoena duces tecum. When you win sa subpoena, diba? You need to appear in front of the court. When you say subpoena duces tecum, you need to appear in the court as well as to provide now the necessary documents, diba? In connection with the investigation of cases against officials and employees of the commission and the members of the professional regulatory board. So another one is to initiate an investigation upon complaint under oath by an aggrieved party, and then to prepare an annual report of accomplishments on the programs, projects, and activities of the commission. This is for transparency because they are a government office. Okay, so Section 8 would be now your regional offices. Your regional offices is, the Commission is hereby authorized to create regional offices as may be necessary to carry out their functions mandated under this Act. So usually PRC in malls and other places as their extension offices. For us here in Metro Manila, di ba, ang dami. Meron tayo sa Robinsons, meron tayo sa Quezon Ave, madami. Because they will cater now para kunwari decentralization. Kumbaga, para naman hindi dagsain yung main PRC natin. Kasi imagine mo, buong professionals in the Philippines pupunta doon para mag-process ng mga kailangan nila, di ba? So, it would take time. And para matapos kasi isang transaction. So, itong mga regional offices na to, they would allow now faster flow of transactions. So, powers, functions, responsibility of the various professional regulatory boards. This one is, for example, our Board of Medical Technology. So, they shall retain the powers, functions, and responsibilities. Number 1, to regulate the practice of the professions in accordance to the provisions of their respective professional regulatory laws, which is our RA 5527, diba? So to monitor the conditions affecting the practice of their profession or occupation in coordination with the Commission of Higher Education. So other powers of the professional regulatory boards is that to hear and investigate cases arising from the violations of their respective laws. And then the decision of the PRC shall, unless appealed to the Commission, become final and executory after 15 days from receipt of notice of decision. The hearing shall be presided over at least one member of the board concerned, assisted by a legal or hearing officer of the Commission. So after due process, they have the power to suspend, revoke, or reissue and reinstate certificates of registration or licenses for the causes provided by law, as well as to prepare, adopt, and issue the syllabi or tables or of specifications of the subjects for examinations in consultation of the academe. So for their compensation, 2 salary grade lower than the salary grade of the commissioners of the PRC. So monthly compensations, allowance, and benefits. So another one of the sections also for for your PRC law is that in Section 11, it indicates now the persons to teach subjects for licensure examination on all professions. So all subjects for licensure examination shall be taught by a person who are holders of a valid certificates of registration and valid professional licenses of the profession and who comply with the other requirements of CHED. So any law enforcement under us, 'di ba, kapag board exam subject yung subject mo, dapat ang nagtuturo diyan holders ng master's degree as well as PhD, tsaka mga certificate of registration as well as valid yung license nila given by the PRC. So rest assured, wala man akong master's pero yung academic equivalent kasi ng MD ko is also in I masters. Tsaka valid naman yung license ko as a medtech and physician. Tsaka may CORD naman ako for both professions. So assistance of law enforcement agency, any law enforcement agency render assistance in enforcing the regulatory law of the profession. So we have your prosecuting the violators of the law. Section 13 is appropriation, section 14 is authority to use income. So section 15, so these sections are just good to know. But for section 15, you should know this that these are the penalties for manipulation and other corrupt practices in the conduct of professional examinations. So any person who makes known licensure examination questions prior to the conduct of examination, ito yung sinasabi nating leakage. Okay, any person who tampers with the grades in the professional licensure exam shall be convicted and punished by imprisonment not less than 6 years and 1 day to not more than 12 years, as well as a fine of 50,000 to 100,000. Okay, so imagine, kaya nga we are training you in school not to cheat and not to promulgate yung mga questions na lumalabas sa exam sa other sections para maging aware din kayo yung legal consequences ng mga yon when it comes now to the PRC. Okay? So kumbaga our classroom is a microcosm of the PRC in itself kapag nag-e-exam kayo. In case that the offender is an officer or employee of the commission or a member of the regulatory board, he or she shall be moved from office, and then there's a penalty of perpetual or absolute disqualification. So there's a fine of 4 years and 1 day up to 6 years of imprisonment, and a fine of 20,000 to 49,000 for the accomplice or yung mga kasama niyang or kasabwat niya kumbaga. And then if you are accessory to the crime, you are not the kasabwat but you have somehow contributed to the execution of the crime. So you are given 2 years and 1 day to 4 years imprisonment and a fine of 5,000 to 19,000. So section 16 is the sub-penalties for the violations in Section 7. Section 17 is the implementing rules and regulations. Section 18 is the transitory provisions. 19 is the separability clause. And 20 is your repealing clause. So Section 21, effectivity. So it took effect after 15 days after its publication in the Official Gazette and 2 newspapers of general circulation. And it was approved on December 5, 2000 under the presidency of Joseph Ejercito Estrada. So the PRC executive order, resolution number, memorandum circular, and the board resolutions, ito yung mga accessory laws natin which gave now more understanding and the implementing rules and regulations of our PRC law, PRC modernization law. Okay, so these are the different executive orders. Ayan, it's a memory game actually, so kayong bahala if you want to memorize. But for me, these are all just good to know. Okay? So PRC board resolution number 167, this is the guidelines for the CPE and accreditation of medical technologists in the Philippines. So, PRC Board Resolution number 1610, series of 2023, we have the electronic PIC policy implementation through licensure examination and registration information system. And then there is the use of electronic copy of our ID professional identification card starting February 27, 2023, which shall be honored and accepted as a valid government issued ID card. Actually, meron tayo nito sa website ng PRC, the PRC Leris. So, downloadable siya and then it's as good as a national ID. So, RA 10912 or the CPD law or Continuing Professional Development Law. So, in this law, it took effect in August 16, 2016. Basically, it strengthened the CPD programs for all regulated professions and aims to improve the competence of professionals in accordance with the international standards of practice. Ito kasi, once you enter in your profession or respective fields, you need to have that commitment na learning is inevitable and should be continued for life. Okay? So your Republic Act 10192, it's an act mandating and strengthening the continuing professional development program for all regulated professions, creating now your Continuing Professional Development Council and appropriating funds therefore and for other related purposes. So Section 1, its title, it's known as your Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016 or your CPD Act of 2016. So, declaration of policies, the state shall promote and upgrade the practice of professions in the country. Towards this end, the state shall also institute measures that will continuously improve the competence of the professionals in accordance with their international standards of practice, as well as ensuring their contributions and uplifting the general welfare, economic growth, and development in nation building. So we have the IPO or the APO, you have the Accredited Integrated Professional Organization or the Accredited Professional Organization in a given profession. So sa atin nga is your Philippine Association of Medical Technologists. And then your CPD refers to the inculcation of advanced knowledge, skills, and ethical values in a post-licensure specialization or in an inter- or multidisciplinary field of study for assimilation into professional practice, self-directed research, and or lifelong learning. So your CPD Council is a body created to promote and ensure the continuous improvement of professionals. So basically, these CPD councils are the one who will give the points to all the seminars or any activities that you engage to after you acquire your professional license. The CPD credit unit refers to the value or amount of learning that can be transferred to a qualification achieved from formal, informal, and non-formal learning setting. Ito yung mga activities and seminars na sinasabi ko, wherein credits can be accumulated to predetermined levels for award of a qualification. The CPD program refers to a set of learning activities such as your seminars, workshops, technical lectures or subject matter meetings, non-degree training lectures, and scientific meetings, modules, tours, and visits which equip the professionals with advanced knowledge, skills, and values in a specialized or in an inter- or multidisciplinary field of study. So it can also be self-directed research and or lifelong learning. Now, your CPD provider refers to any body or any accrediting body na in-accredit ng CPD Council natin to conduct now CPD programs. Usually mga APO natin to, mga accredited professional organizations. So the CPD programs consist of activities that range from structured to non-structured activities which have learning processes and outcomes. So this includes but are not limited to formal learning, non-formal learning, informal learning, self-directed learning, online activities, and professional work experience. Actually, the mere fact na medtech ako, 'di ba? The mere fact na medtech ako before and then nag-medicine ako, that's already considered to be a continuing progress development. Mas lalo na yung pag-take ng masters, okay? That can be credited as credit points sa continuing progress development. No? So when you say formal learning, educational arrangements such as curricular qualifications and teaching learning requirements that take place in education and training institutions recognized by relevant national authorities, which leads to diplomas and qualifications. Ito yung sinasabi kong mga master's degree or doctorate degree. Okay? So at the end of their education kasi, we are given again another diploma. So this is considered to be a formal learning type of CPD. Non-formal learning has been acquired in addition or alternative to formal learning, which may be structured and made more flexible according to educational and training arrangement. Your informal learning, it occurs in the daily life assessed through the recognition, validation, and accreditation process, which can contribute to a qualification. So when you say self-directed learning naman, learning activities such as online training, local or international seminars, non-degree courses, yung parang yung mga kumbaga certificate in phlebotomy, certificate in ganito, those are all self-directed learnings. So institution or company-sponsored training programs like if you go now to train as an HIV proficient medtech, ganun. So these are self-directed learnings which did not go undergo CPD accreditation but may be applied for and awarded CPD units by the respective CPD council. So itong mga to, yung mga ginawa mo kasing mga yon, initially they were not given CPD units, pero if you try not to present them to the CPD council, pwede nilang bigyan ng points if they see na related naman talaga sa field mo. Okay, so for your Section 7 or your council, the chairperson of the CPD Council shall be a member of the Professional Regulatory Board so chosen by the PRB concerned to sit with the CPD Council. The first member shall be the president or officer of the APO, which is our PAMET, di ba? So the first member is sino? So who is the president of PAMET? It's Ma'am Luella Vertusio, di ba? And then the second member shall be the president or officer of the National Organization of Deans, department chairpersons of schools and colleges and universities, which is your PASMET. Okay? So the powers, functions, and responsibilities of the CPD Council is number 1, to ensure the adequate and appropriate provision of CPD programs for their respective profession. Another is to evaluate and act on applications for accreditation of CPD providers and their CPD programs. Another is to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the CPD programs. Like for example, nagpa-seminar yung isang CPD giving body. The CPD Council needs to ensure na may nangyari talagang seminar and that yung seminar na yun pushed through. Okay? And then to assess and upgrade the criteria for accreditation of CBT providers and their CPD programs on a regular basis. Another one is to develop mechanisms for validation and accreditation and recognition of self-directed learning, prior or informal learning, online learning, and other learning processes through professional work experience. So, kapag pupunta kasi ng PRC and then pinesent mo yung mga certificates mo bearing now the CPD units or you wish na ma-accredit ng mga CPD units ng seminars, i-validate yan isa-isa ng PRC. Kasi yung PRC meron silang database, okay, para ma-validate na yung mga inattendang mong seminars ay CPD accredited ba or ilan yung CPD nabigay doon or kapag pineke mo lang kasi yung CPD mo, makikita nila. Okay? So, conduct researches, studies, and benchmarking for international alignment of CPD programs. Another is to issue operational guidelines with the approval of PRC and the PRB concerned, and to perform such other functions related on or incidental to the implementation of the CPD. So, for its effectivity, it was approved July 21, 2016 by President Benigno S. Aquino III. Okay, so why do you need to earn CPD? Okay? Basically, it's for you para hindi mangalawang, di ba? So when you apply now or when you go now to these seminars, you are allowing yourself not to be a medtech only. Kumbaga, you are medtech Pro Plus or you are medtech Pro Max, ganon, okay? You need to learn, okay? Learning doesn't stop when you acquire now your license. Okay? The more na nagtitrain ka, the more na madami kang lisensya or certificates, more opportunities will come to you. Okay? So kapag nag-apply ka sa ibang companies or hospitals or maybe abroad, those certificates na pampakapal ng biodata mo will mean the whole world. Okay? So yun yung mga magdidikta kumbaga ng pagkakuha mo nung work mo or hindi. Okay, so a piece of advice, once you become now registered medtechs in the future, you need to engage yourselves in CPD. Okay, so tignan nyo in here, this is a screen capture from, I think it's LinkedIn. Okay, so ayan, experience, molecular, 1 year preferred, mga ganun. Tapos tignan nyo yung salary niya, it's 30,000 per month. Okay, so kapag nag-engage kayo as medtech and then nag-train kayo as a molecular biologist, mga ganon, so more opportunities will come to your doorstep. Okay? So PRC Resolution 2016-990 series of 2016, ngayon naman, these are the amendments of the revised guidelines of the CPD program for all registered professional. So to cut the story short, when the CPD law was put into law kasi, initially the CPD units na need mong ma-fulfill as a medtech was 45. Okay? Pero madaming umalma doon kasi nga sobrang laki nung 45 na need mong ma-fulfill. Kaya nagkaroon ng PRC resolution na to, cutting now the 45 units to 15 units. Okay? So imagine in 3 years, dapat ma-comply mo yung 15 units for you to have or to renew again your license. Okay? So, ito siya. CPD providers must apply for at least 45 days prior to the conduct of CPD activity. Hindi pwede yung may seminar bukas ng malaria and then you wouldn't expect na may CPD units yun. Okay? So, it needs to be accredited 45 days prior to the conduct of that seminar. Okay? And then you need to, the CPD Council will now designate the number of units. Hindi ikaw mismo na magbibigay ng seminar ang magdidikta kung ilan yung CPD units na yon. Instead, the CPD Council will. And then, CPD is mandatory requirement for the renewal of PRC ID. So, as I've said, this one, in the year 2024, the required CPD units should be 15, and then 2025 is 20, 2026 is 30, and then 2027 onwards is 45. So PRC Resolution 1908 series of 2004 to give sufficient time for the conduct of orientations and capacity building sessions. It now adopts the recommendation of the CPD Program Management Committee to extend the acceptance of the CPD undertaking. Yung sinasabi nating CPD undertaking kasi, for example, nag-expire yung license mo, tas kulang ka sa CPD units. Magsasign ka ngayon ng CPD undertaking, making a promise now na by the next time na mag-a-apply ka again for your PRC, makokompleto na or you will comply with the required units as well as yung utang mong units previously. Okay, so for example, sa akin, nag-renew ako ng PRC ko recently pero 13 units lang yung na-comply ko. So, ibig sabihin, may dalawa akong units na utang. So, in 3 years, since magre-renew ako, by 2020, ano ba ngayon? 4, 5, 6, 7. 2027, by year 2027, 15 plus 2. So, dapat 17 units yung natapos kong CPD para makapag-renew ulit ako. Ganun yun. Kumbaga, utang siya na dapat mong bayaran. Okay, so the Commission resolves as it is thereby resolved to extend acceptance of CPD undertaking renewal of your PRC ID until December 31, 2025. So the CPD process, who are not covered by the CPD requirement? Sino yung mga pwedeng mag-renew even without CPD? So number one is, during the transition period, the following are not covered by the CPD. So professionals working overseas, however, they need to provide proof of such as a valid certificate of employment or overseas employment certificate duly approved by the POEA. Ito, this is applicable to those RMT sila dito sa Pinas and then nag-take ng ASCPI para makapag-work abroad. Since nasa abroad na sila, syempre lugi naman sila if CPD sila ng CPD para makapag-renew ng RMT nila. Hindi naman nila pinapractice yung profession here in the Philippines. Kaya there's hindi na need kumbaga na mag-comply sila sa CPD para makapag-renew ulit sila. Kasi nga in the first place, hindi naman sila here in the Philippines nagpa-practice. Okay? Another exception of the CPD requirement is ito, newly licensed professionals for the first renewal after obtaining their license. So, this one, magiging happy kayo for the first 3 years of your profession kasi kahit hindi kayo umattend ng any CPD activities, mare-renew nyo pa rin siya. Pero on your second renewal, kapag 6 years na kayo in your profession, dapat naka-acquire na kayo ng sufficient trainings that you can use or that you should use to renew. Okay? Gaya ko ngayon, may utang akong 2 kasi nga yung sa medtech ko, ayun. Second renewal ko na, 13 units lang yung naipon ko. So in year 2027, dapat 17 yung units ko ng medtech and then for medicine, libre pa kahit wala pa akong seminars. But that doesn't mean na hindi ka na mag-seminar ha. Think of CPD na hindi burden, okay? For me, noon, ganun din yung thinking ko. Parang burden siya sa atin. Pero, if you look at the brighter side, ang magbe-benefit pa rin kasi nito ay tayo. Kasi nga, we learned something, di ba? Ikaw na lang kung ang habol mo doon is the units lang. Pero, at the end of the day, you are paying to learn, okay? Nagbabayad ka ng seminars or nag-enroll ka sa kung ano-ano mang institutions or CPD giving units for you to learn, okay? Kasi nga, yung learning na yon, ma-apply mo din naman sa trabaho mo. And sino ba yung magbe-benefit sa trabaho mo? Number 1, ikaw, di ba? Kasi sasahod ka doon. And number 2, pamilya mo. Kasi nga, yung trabaho mo, silang magbubuhay sa family mo. And number 3, most important, yung mga pasyente mo, di ba? Alangan naman napapabayaan mo yung pasyente mo with the knowledge na yung knowledge mo pa was 5 years ago. So, you need to be constantly updated. Okay? So, Section 11, the prescribed fees. So, for accreditation, so if it is a local CPD provider, 5,000. Foreign is 8,000. CPD program per offering is 1,000. And if it is a self-directed or lifelong learning program, it is 500. Okay, so matrix of CPD, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, na kapag doctor's degree ka, yung units or earned mo must not units earned but not to exceed 40 credit units. Need mo lang na supporting documents is university certification, university diploma, ganun. For master's degree naman, of course, still your diploma. And if it is a postgraduate diploma or certificate or diplomate fellowship program, CPD assigned by the CPD Council. So if you are a participant sa isang, nakadepende rin kasi actually yung credit units mo sa isang CPD seminar kung ano yung role mo doon. Okay? So kung participant ka lang, medyo mababa. Okay? Okay na yung 4 units for the entire 8 hours. But if you are a keynote speaker or resource person, of course, you are the one giving the knowledge eh. So mas mataas ng konti. Okay? So may points din if you are a moderator, facilitator, panelist, okay? And then for researches, if you are a poster presenter. Now, for research and development, 10 credit units ka agad yan. If more than one research, or kapag nakapublish ka ng isang research, and kapag group kayo, divided equally among them. So, kapag 5 kayong author ng isang research, you are given 2 credit units. Okay? So, for the extension, you need extension activities, and then socio-civic activities din, your civil service engagement, creative works like publications, inventions, lahat ng yan may mga corresponding credit units sa CPD. Okay, kung nag-publish ka ng libro, di ba? Ayan. Anything that constitutes learning. Ayan. So ito yung mga credit units if you sa mga sinasalihan mo or mga ginagawa mo. So CPD drawbacks, ito yung mga slightly questionable things around the CPD law, okay? So there is the difficulty of access for professionals assigned to remote areas of the country. 'Di ba? Let's not deny na ang mga professionals are scattered all around the Philippines. 'Di ba? Hindi lang naman sila nasa Metro Manila or around the city vicinity. So paano naman yung mga professionals na nasa far-flung area, 'di ba? So how would they acquire their CPD? So you need now to take into consideration yung travel nila, their expense as well as their safety, 'di ba? Lack of time to attend programs. Ito usually yung problema ng mga doktor, 'di ba? Since madami silang mga engagement, nagjo-duty sila, pasyente, ganun. Sakala lang nila naiisip na wala pa pala akong CPD units kapag papatapos na yung ano nila, yung or pa-expire na yung lisensya nila. So usually yung ginagawa namin pag ganun, na I tried it before sa medtech, sumali na lang ako ng mga national conventions, although mahal siya, but yung pagkamahal naman niya, its price would reflect naman larger CPD units. Okay, added financial burden. For me ito, like I've said a while back, I don't view it as a financial burden in a way na ikaw pa rin naman ang magbe-benefit. Kumbaga, sa isang pagkain, syempre yung pagkain bibilhin mo with your money, and then sino bang magbe-benefit? Ikaw pa rin kasi mabubusog ka. So parang yung binili mo, if you will liken that to a food, 'di ba? Yung binili mo pagkain sa utak, okay? So kapag kinain mo 'yon, nagbayad ka para doon sa pagkain na 'yon, ang mabubusog ay yung utak mo. And then DOH was encouraged by the government to provide free CPD programs. Actually, ito nga din yung isa sa mga nice sanang pagdebatihan na why not offer CPD for free, di ba? Actually, madami naman nang nag-offer ng CPD for free. Pero mas madami, pero sobrang dalang lang, tsaka limited slots, kumbaga. And then, sometimes, may bayad talaga yung mga CPD units, majority of them. So that would be all for our CPD law and our PRC modernization law. So if you have any questions regarding this topic, I am free every Mondays and Fridays, so you can just contact me. And if you contact me beyond my official time at our school, rest assured na magre-reply naman ako, pero at a later date or malilate ng konti. Okay, so that would be all. Expect for a quiz on this topic next meeting. Okay, thank you.